Okay, boys, let's kick it off. Podcast number 4. This is our analysis of the first round of the 2021 NFL draft. As we sit here right now, round 2 is underway, and we can even dip into round 2 a little bit if we so desire. Of course, we got Rob Castro rocking the U hats, and of course, as always, the venerable Dick Newman. So let's begin with your guys' general impressions of the first round. Dick, you want to start us off? General impressions of round 1.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. The first thing, the whole game show aspect of it was just a bit much for me. Maybe because I'm becoming an old man or something. But I was just like, come on, guys, why are we having the full 7 minutes on every single pick? But the actual drafting and whatnot, most teams seemed really responsible with their picks, and there didn't seem to be a lot of reaching that was going on here. I didn't see a lot of drafting for need. It seemed instead like guys were going after the best available talent, which I think is really the way to go. Anytime that you see teams going, well, we needed a tackle, so at this spot we went and got one. Well, maybe that's not the best player that was available. And I didn't see as much of that sort of behavior as I've seen in past years. I think some of that comes from, with the pandemic, they haven't been able to go out and visit players as much. So they've actually had to sit at home and do their homework, and they're not going to get any bias from hearing the way a guy talks. Instead, they're like, fuck it, tape says, and the numbers say we should take this guy. That's my general impression on that. And then the other one was, all the QBs in this class, they have real talent, but most of these guys would have been scattered through the second half of the first round and into the second round, if there wasn't the salary cap issues. But these guys are so cheap that you can go ahead and draft Trey Lance and stuff him on your bench for 2 years. So, but it's a good class, but I'm not going to say that it's as good as, say, 1983.
Yeah, I feel second that, Sean. I thought it was overly produced. Me and Dave were talking earlier. I didn't buy these fans sitting on these couches, and I just thought it was so lame. Cheesy, dude. I look forward to the draft every year, and I just didn't like the energy. It didn't flow well. We all knew pick 1 and 2 what was going to happen. We were all looking forward to the Niners, and they picked Trey Lance. That was exciting to me. I wish I would have seen more excitement in trades. We saw some, but not overly exciting. They didn't make huge leaps. And I think that takes excitement out of the draft. Outside of that, I would love to see a big name on the ticker saying Aaron Rodgers to Denver, or Deshaun Watson just gets picked up by Pittsburgh, and I didn't get any of that. So overall, it's fun. I always loved the draft, dude. I have it in the background, but it's the first day. It was a bit cheesy for me, overly produced.
And that's funny you guys say that, because we're the average football fan, and I think that we're, for the most part, the target audience of the NFL and the networks. And that was a really shitty production. That was hokey. It was shitty, and there was nothing appealing about it. So, I don't know. Do you guys are, in the entertainment industry, any suggestions on how the NFL can clean up that program?
Yeah, I was watching it from the eyes of a producer and director the entire time. And the one thing was that it was too cluttered up with stuff, where you got the parking lounger and a fan handing this off. And it seemed like just to get to the draft, to draft the guy, they had to pass the pick through 4 different people's hands, all so that we could end up with, Roger Goodell chest bumping and hugging some guy. And it's every time I would see some young black kid come up there, I'm thinking to myself, oh, race relation totally solved. Roger Goodell is laughing and hugging with young football players. And I was during the game, not during the game, but during the draft, I kept thinking to myself, I'm I'd rather that this was in the gold room of, the Marriott in Des Moines, Iowa, or in someplace in New Jersey or New York. That would have been, to me, that would have been that throwback. And then the fans yelling and screaming, I like it. It's fine, but they're going to cheer whatever. But I think my favorite moment was when the Giants picked, and there was some guy that had a Danny Dimes jersey on, and they picked the receiver, Tony, and the guy just went, oh! That sort of stuff I like, but the overproduction, I would have simplified that. I would have cut all that out.
I agree with Sean. I think it looks too cluttered too. And I think this is what's happening in sports. I mean, I want to watch boxing and everything is a freaking spectacle nowadays. Dude, I don't need to be having all these people, like these thriller type shit out there. Everything has become like this overly produced shows. Let's put on the boxing fight. Let's get to the boxing fight. I do love having the fans live. I do, but just the way it was set up, I think it was too cluttered. I definitely agree with Sean. I think it was too much, but outside of that, man, I still watch. It's the NFL.
Okay, Rob, let's stick with you for this question here. I don't know if it's too early to tell, but what team really, in your opinion, hit a home run with their first round pick?
God, home run is such a tough word. You know what I mean? Because either you go by need or you go by the best player available. Some people call Kyle Pitts the unicorn. It's unfair because they will pick that where they were scheduled to pick. They would have picked them anyways. I like the Chargers pick. I think protecting the future quarterback, your future asset in Justin Herbert, getting Rashawn Slater. I've been bragging about this guy in our in our previous podcast. I think he's a stud. And he's going to come in and play right away and protect him. And to me, that was the most valuable pick. They didn't have to trade up to get him. They stayed patient, and they got what they wanted. So home run is a stretch, but I would say that was my favorite pick so far.
Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on the Chargers thing. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I was like juggling with. But the fact that the Chargers went ahead and – for me, defining a home run in the first round is defining what it is that you want and going and getting it and sticking to your methodology, sticking to whatever your mindset is and not getting all, because like the Niners apparently, there are reports coming out that when they made that trade, they had no idea who they were going to pick. And that as recently as Monday, they didn't know who they were going to pick. I think some of that is like some misdirection. And I think it's Shanahan and Lynch having some fun fucking with the press. I totally get that, and it was wildly entertaining. But the Chargers making their move for Rashawn Salt, love it. Absolutely love it. Just go ahead and go for the guy that's going to protect your quarterback's blind side. Get a tackle, beef up that offensive line, because they have a Super Bowl roster. They didn't need to go and get a high-end skill position player, but they did need offensive linemen. So, when it's a combination of a need and the talent level that's available, that's like a perfect cohesion. It doesn't always,
and this
happen.
is why I chose them, and I like what the Jets did too. But the Jets have to trade up to get Vera Tucker from SC. Chargers didn't have to give up any picks, and that's why I picked him as a home run pick because he's a day one starter, and you're protecting your most valuable asset in football, which is the quarterback. And I think that was perfect match. And I think he's going to play in LA for a long time. I really do. I've been high on this guy for a while.
And look at the Chargers offense now. We got Herbert, we got Slater holding down that line. We got that little freaky running back. I can't remember his name now. That little badass guy.
Austin Eckler.
Yeah. We got 2 badass receivers, and the one receiver gets really and I can't remember his name now. The one Mike Williams, I think, is a receiver over there.
Mike Williams.
And who's the other one? The other one's like a top 5 receiver, although he's often injured. And I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, the guy out of Cal, Berkeley.
Yeah, and we got Hunter Henry as a more than serviceable tight end. I think I don't know that I would say that the Chiefs are going to be threatened offensively, but the Chargers are putting together a nice offensive package.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's a receiver that you're thinking.
Yes.
He's an all-pro level talent. He's had some injury problems, whatever. But the Chargers have weapons. And, it seems like the trend in the NFL now is to go out and go and get the high-powered weapons and then build your line. It used to be the other way around, where it seemed to be that way. But teams could also keep lines together for years and years. But going after a guy like that, the Cowboys making the move that they did for Micah Parsons, they traded down and they fucked the Giants while they were doing it. And one friend of mine pointed out, he was like, "Well, Parsons, it seems like they've got so much invested in that position group." And my comment was, "Who gives a shit? Parsons is a badass. You got an opportunity to draft that guy.
I agree. And I have him coming up as the Cowboys, one of my top. But yes, I totally agree with that pick, and that's who I wanted the Dolphins to pick at 6 because I don't like picking wide receivers high. That's been my motto. Unless you look like Julio Jones, I don't want you as a top 15 pick. I don't care about speed. I've heard it many times. Your body frame has to look like Julio Jones to me, and I will take a chance on you. That's why I either wanted Kyle Pitts or Jamar Chase. Out of that, I could get you in the teens.
Oh, well, there were 3 other ones that I really liked, and I'll just run through them like really fast. Bears trading up for Justin Fields. It doesn't erase the shame of Trubisky, but it opens up all kinds of opportunities for them. And
big time.
They finally take a guy who's got actual legit talent, played in big games, played for big programs. He beat Clemson. That I think is a good move. And it's not just a face-saving thing. This is the first time that the Bears have had a legit quarterback prospect since Jim McMahon. Let's be honest with ourselves. And when they would trade for guys, they're pretty good. But, the Lions taking Sewell, for a franchise that's known for doing stupid things, for them to go ahead and invest in the offensive line instead of, taking a flyer on a receiver, I like it. When your team is messed up all over the place, build from the inside out. Like that, I love that. And then Carolina taking J.C. Horn.
Oh, big time.
Horn is a lockdown corner who can work in any system. He can work with any defense that you have. And you know what? Not taking a quarterback, I think, is fine because I think Darnold has got a chance to be pretty damn good. He's still really young. People forget that. And he's not ruined. He's not beaten up. It's not like Jim Plunkett doing a comeback in his 30s. This guy's younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
big time.
Hey, Rob. Let me throw this at you since Sean mentioned Sam Darnold. I believe that the Panthers were slated to select before the Chargers. Do you have any problems with the Panthers not taking Rashawn Slater? Would you have taken Rashawn Slater? Knowing that Sam Darnold, dude, needs time to fucking throw the ball, man.
He does, and that's the argument there. But you know what? It's such a guard and tackle heavy class that I don't have a problem with that. So if you get like one or the 2 top corners, then you got to get the 2 best players available. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's why I keep bringing up Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts. After that, I see there's like a drop off. So okay, you get J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain. After that, there'll be a drop-off. So if you get one of those 2 guys, you lock them down because there are very good guards and tackles in this draft, especially today in the 2nd round. It's loaded.
Okay, because there was a lot of criticism, at least on ESPN. I was watching ESPN. There was a lot of criticism of Carolina for taking J.C. Horn and not solidifying that front line for
big time. I heard that too, but then you can look at it the other side. He's in a division playing against Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay is loaded with weapons. The Saints love to air it out, so they need lockdown corners. And actually, I have that who fill the need, and I put Carolina. When you have too many holes, you're gonna get picked apart, And they have holes all over the place. And I think it's a guard-loaded class, and they know that they could pick a tackle or guard later on. That's where you make your money. It's really not the 1st round. It's really in 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. So I don't have an issue with that, Dave.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it either because I think that Carolina, with the way that they play, like we got to see it last year, Bridgewater is not very good, to put it nicely. He can be a relatively steady guy in the locker room. He's going to be steady on the field, but he's not a spectacular guy who's going to open things up. Darnold has that talent to be able to do that. And let's not forget, Carolina's got weapons. Their offensive line really wasn't that bad last year. It wasn't it wasn't a position of need. But when you have an opportunity to take a shutdown corner, get him. Get him. They don't grow on trees, man.
Big time.
It's why Jalen Ramsey went for the cost that he did. to pry him out of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
If you can get your hands on a guy like that, you do it because they come around once every few years.
And this is why Bill Belichick values cornerbacks so much. He's always doing this. That's his in the defense. That's his most important position are the two corners. And I love the J.C. Horn pick.
Well, it sounds like you guys like J.C. Horn. It sounds like you guys like obviously Justin Fields and Micah Parsons to my Cowboys. Hey Rob, who do you think shit the bed in this draft? Who do you think really blew an opportunity?
On, bro. You want me to play Autumn Wind for you? Dun, 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 dun. Like, why the fuck do you got a guy that's like people are speculating this guy is a second rounder and reach? I want to tell Mike Mayock, it's a lot different when you're close to the fire than when you're sitting at the NFL Network, right?
Yeah.
Reaching every year for players, bro. It's the Raiders. You expect this from the Raiders. And I just cannot believe they did that. It's a guard-loaded class, and you're going to go pick this guy, 17th pick. I'm blown away. Another guy that I was blown away too is this guy, Peyton Turner out of Houston, which the Saints got. Now, I'm not going to go there with the Saints because they know how to find value. Alvin Kamara comes to mind.
Yep. But
that was a total reach, So those two really come to mind.
Shawnee boy?
That's the thing. It's like, I find it hard to say that they shit the bed.
Right.
I agree with Rob, though, with the Raiders and Leatherwood. The Leatherwood pick is just another one of those, what the fuck are the Raiders doing? Like, who's in charge? Like, is there an adult in the room, or is Chucky just making faces and Mike Mayock is, still pretending that he's an announcer doing Monday Night Football or something? I mean, Leatherwood, I get it. They need line help. But this was one of the few examples of where they went ahead and instead of going for the best player available, they went for a position of need in the first round. And get it. But it's not like he was even the best tackle available. It's perplexing.
But let me throw this. Let me throw this at you real quick. And one of my boys at work, Dave Hillman, he's a hardcore Raiders fan, and him and I were talking about this. Who's that offensive line guru who was the head coach? Tom Cable. Is it Tom Cable? He's the offensive line coach in Oakland or in Las Vegas now. And I'm not saying it was a great pick. I'm not saying it was a disastrous pick. But I think if anybody can coach that kid up, it might be Tom Cable.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And it's like, I'm not against that. But why not wait until the second round for the guy?
Yeah, that's the point. This is what happens in the draft. Jimmy Johnson changed his whole thing. Before that, people were not really watching the draft. And it's what value am I getting for this pick? I didn't like Devontae Smith to the Dolphins at 6. It's terrible. You don't want to know it's terrible? Not Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is an amazing receiver. But you could get that guy at 12. So you're giving Philadelphia 2 first-rounders to move back to 6? Yeah. For a 5'8" receiver? Are you out of your mind? Terrible. So that's not value. That's not Jimmy Johnson value chart right there. Yeah. So what the Raiders did, they could have gotten this guy in the late second round, maybe early third. So you're reaching. You lost all your value right there. It's not worth it. And this is when I really criticize teams when they find value. And I think on day one, your Cowboys found value. Especially with their arch enemy. Like they traded, they got 2 third-rounders, and they got a guy they wanted.
It was just one.
Well, the guy that I would bring up in terms of like that value that you're talking about, Rob, is that one of the guys that was like sitting out there in one of the group chats that I'm in, everybody kept bringing it up. It was like, what the fuck is Christian Darrisaw doing dropping? Like Darrisaw was sitting right there. You want an offensive line? Why didn't they take him instead of Leatherwood? I don't get it.
Yeah. All right, so we got Jamar Chase and Rob obviously not completely satisfied with where he was taken. Understood.
Correct.
And we can all agree that the Raiders selecting that guy out of Alabama, Leatherwood, a bit of a reach there. Is it too early to tell if any team really stole a player in a great position? Do you guys have any thoughts on that? Is there a steal of the draft? Do you think, man,
I think the steal. Sorry, Dave.
No.
I think the steal goes to your Cowboys. I said it. I've been saying this all the time. Like when I was a 6 with the Dolphins and you couldn't get Jamar Chase, then you know what? Get the best defensive player available. This kid runs a 4.340. I've seen him since high school. Micaiah Parsons. And the fact that they made a trade with the Eagles made the Eagles. You said it was 1 third rounder. I thought it was 2 third rounders.
I'll look it up.
They got 2 third rounders from the Eagles, and they still got a top linebacker to put him next to Jalen Smith. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Cowboys really wanted J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain. When they didn't get that, they were smart enough. They were looking at the Jimmy Johnson value chart. They're like, you know what? We're not getting value here. Let's trade down. And they got a top player there. So to me, that was a steal of the draft.
I'm right there with Rob. I've got my 3 are Horn, Parsons, and Slater. Those 3 right there cinches it. I really feel like Carolina did a great job in evaluating not just necessarily a position of need, but the talent level this guy brings, and then also the competition that they're going to be facing. Like, that was a really smart pick. You can tell that it was really thought out. The Parsons pick was also really well thought out. Like you said, Rob, they didn't see the guys that they thought that they wanted, and then they adjusted. They trade down for a guy that everyone else apparently wasn't. Were they like asleep at the wheel? Like, why would you pass on a guy like this at that specific spot in the draft? So now all of a sudden, you got Sean Lee retiring after just a horribly, oh God, what a jinxed career. That guy should be Hall of Fame, but he's not going to because of all the stupid injuries. But Parson, and then Slater. Oh my God. Yeah. Slater is a steal for like where he landed, and considering that it wasn't like the Chargers had to they didn't have to rob Peter to pay Paul. They didn't have to trade up. They had a pretty bad year last year. But the thing that we have to take into account is that their year was so bad because they had so many one-score losses. Law of averages on a talented team like that with a new coaching staff coming in, they're going to probably be a double-digit win team this year. So taking that into account and the quality of player that they just got on their offensive line, all 3 of these guys are a steal to me. Absolutely.
The only problem I have, and I love Parsons, but the Cowboys defense, not last year, because last year they were atrocious. They gave up, I believe last year they gave up the most points in franchise history. But the year before that, the defense was pretty fucking good.
Very good.
It was good.
But you know what? Right now you're getting Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn loves linebackers. He's going to bring that Legion of Boom style Seattle play right now with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. When you guys got Jalen Smith out of Notre Dame a few years back, I love that guy.
Sure.
And now you pair him up with Parsons.
Yeah.
That Legion of Boom is going to start. They just got a cornerback, I think, in the 2nd round.
Yep.
So I think the Cowboys are slowly starting to build that up because that offense is ready to go. Once you get that, and Dan Quinn is a great defensive coordinator, I think you're going to see the Cowboys back in the game. Chicago, like Sean said, they haven't had a QB since McMahon. And what do you need in Chicago? You need a guy with a strong arm because of the wind, and this guy has a cannon. So I think Chicago definitely feel the need. Chicago has weapons. Remember, Allen Robinson is a top receiver, if not top 5, top 10 receiver. They have a very decent running game. Their defense is very decent. I think you get a Justin Fields there, man. You groom him. You start him maybe next year. If you could start him at the back end of this year. But I think he's a perfect fit for Chicago. You cannot have any quarterback there. You definitely have to have a strong arm because that place is windy as hell, Soldier Field. And I think they feel the need, and I put the Panthers as well.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that about Fields because it's not like he played in the greatest weather, at The Ohio State University. They didn't play in great weather while he was playing in the Big Ten.
Correct. That's why I think he's a good match.
Yeah, I think he's a spectacular match for them.
You don't want to come from a sunny place and go in there and you just you know what I mean? All you're doing is throwing to the flats. You need a really strong arm when you're playing that kind of weather.
Yeah, and the running joke, some of the Twitter guys are out there talking about Justin Fields, he's going to get sacked more than anybody else ever, when he finally does take the field. that he only makes one read. And it's like, all right, guys, I get the jokes. Like, I get it. The problem with Trubisky is that he never trusted himself to be able to go beyond that first read, and then he would run. And I get having the running ability to be, a positive, but I think what's going to happen with Fields, or at least what I hope happens with him, is that you see throw after throw with this guy where he's running to his left on the run, throwing back the other way, and that was something that I saw that was in common with Fields, with Trey Lance, with Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, is all four of those guys, whether they're running to the left or to the right, they can make these incredibly great throws.
Yeah, blame that on Mahomes. He started that trend. Blame that on Mahomes.
I wouldn't say that Mahomes started that trend. It said he perfected it, because you would see Elway do stuff like that. There's plenty of guys that could do that. Montana did it as well. It's just that it wasn't worked into the game plan the way that it is now. Now it's like
not like Mahomes does.
No. I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on that. I'm not calling bullshit or anything like that. What I'm saying is that where you are definitely fuck yeah, now it's a feature of an offense. What is worked into game plans. Now people are Mahomes elevated the game so much to where if you can't make that throw, you're probably not considered a top prospect.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Fields is going to do just fine in Chicago if they tailor-make their offense to fit his skills. And, frankly, that's what you have to do with all these QBs.
Well, let's do a quick little speed round. Give me one or two words that kind of summarize your thoughts, or summarize the player and the team that they went to. So let's go with Kyle Pitts to Atlanta. Rob, one or two words.
The unicorn. Everyone wanted him.
Trey Lance to the Niners. One or two words. 3 or 4 words.
Trey Lance to the Niners. If he's not a starter by day one, he's definitely going to start by mid-season. This kid's a stud, and I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Sean.
Massive upside, need time to develop, but he's only 20. I think this kid's going to be a fucking star if they stick with him.
Okay, Sean, let's stay with you. Penny Sewell to the Lions.
I like the fact that the Lions didn't do something stupid, and they're building from the inside out. Build that line.
Rob.
Yeah, highest rated lineman, not sexy, but smart pick.
Okay.
Yeah, the Lions didn't do something stupid. I love it.
Rob, Zach Wilson to the Jets.
Zach Wilson to the Jets? Man, kid has upside, but comes with a lot of pressure. Hopefully he lives up to the hype.
Sean.
He looks like he's 14.
All right.
I don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, he looks like he's 14. That's the only thing I can say. All I know is that they're so laser focused on him that they're committed to him. So I guess that's a good sign.
All right. Rob, last one. And then Sean after Rob. Mac Jones to the Patriots.
I think it's super ideal for him. I think the Patriots need a guy like old school quarterback like Tom Brady, and he kind of fits that profile.
Sean.
Value. And Belichick runs pocket systems. I think he fits perfectly well in there. He likes to slide back and forth through the pocket. He's got nice footwork. I think he needs to work out a bit. He's a little soft and round, I should say.
Yeah. All right.
I think he's going to fit in just fine there. I think they got really.
Tom just observes the body types, dude.
Yeah. I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so listen.
The NFL versus Sean Newman. I could see an HBO documentary, dude.
I'm gonna throw out a bunch of names for you guys. I want you guys to listen, and then we're gonna chat a little bit about this. Herschel Walker. Don't say anything yet. Herschel Walker. Marcus Allen. Tony Dorsett. Barry Sanders. Jerome Bettis. Eric Dickerson. Bo Jackson. Marshall Faulk. Adrian Peterson. LaDainian Tomlinson, and a couple guys that might be a little bit before Rob's time, but Sean and I know them well. George Andrews was one of them, and who's my other one? I think that's it, George Andrews. These are all running backs who maintain a certain position in NFL lore. And these guys were all taken early on, first overall, second overall, fifth overall. And a trend started, I want to say, and you guys can correct me, I want to say within the last 10 years, unless the guy was, viewed as a can't miss, they started drafting these running backs late first round, early second round, third round, fourth round. Why the change from taking these guys early on to, like, in some cases, late first round, like we saw Najee Harris and Travis Etienne? Why the change? Why the shift in the mentality of the GMs? Sean,
I think there's such an abundance in running backs, and I was having this argument with Sean yesterday. I don't hate Etienne at all. James Robinson is already an established running back, and actually, the head coach today got criticized for Jacksonville, Urban Meyer, for saying I'm going to use him as a third down back. Are you fucking kidding me? So you're drafting arguably the highest rated running back in the draft, and you're going to use him as a third down back. There goes the value of the door. So you don't even know who to talk to. So this is my argument. I love ETN, but if you get him in the second or third round, it comes down to value, and the position of running back right now is not very valued because they don't have a long shelf life. So right now, everybody, is running back by committee. So if I go have 2-3 running backs, the Rams do it, the Niners do it. They have great head coaches. Why do I have to have one superstar and put all my money when he could get beat up? Sean told me yesterday, man, I saw Gurley's knees and he looked like a 50-year-old. So, hey, Gurley, when the Rams got Gurley, I was so excited. I followed this guy at Georgia. And this is exactly why that position it's not valued as much. Because such an abundance, and right now we don't need one superstar to win the Super Bowl. We go have 2-3 great guys like the Niners and make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, the bigger thing is just like the change in the style of play and the way that the offenses are run now. I mean, we're not running, I formations. When Eric Dickerson was playing, when Earl Campbell was playing, there were fullbacks and they would line up in the I, and it was just a power game, and then opening up holes for these guys to run through. But yeah, back in the day, it's like, running toss power traps and, misdirection plays on the running game. In 1973, you had, the Dolphins had 3 guys run for 1,000 yards. You're never going to see that sort of thing again. The game has changed fundamentally because they opened it up so that it would be more entertaining. If you watch a game, if you sit down and go on YouTube and you can find these games from the classic days of Earl Campbell and O.J. Simpson, and it's like, yeah, when they would break off a big run, it was exciting as hell. But it didn't happen very often. It doesn't happen as often as it looks like in one of these highlight films.
It's amazing how, the quarterback might be the most important position in team sports. And, there's been a few drafts that have been like this, where a lot of quality players are coming off the board in the first round, and then we had a bunch of moves at the same time. We had Carson Wentz changing teams, and Bridgewater changed teams, and a couple other guys changed teams. And one guy that might be making a change is Aaron Rodgers. What the fuck? What the fuck has happened in Green Bay? I mean, we know the backstory. They selected that Love kid last year, and Rodgers was butthurt because of that. Jordan Love, I think his name is. I can't remember exactly, but so I don't know. Just to kind of add to it, you guys, I don't know if you guys read today. Joe Horn, father of J.C. Horn, came out and was a little perturbed because when his son is getting picked, which is obviously a huge moment for any family. But when his son's getting picked, a lot of the conversation is about Aaron Rodgers wanting out of Green Bay. Sean, give me your thoughts on this Aaron Rodgers drama in Green Bay.
All right, first of all, it's fucked up for the networks to be like talking about Aaron Rodgers when this young man is getting traded. Like, talk about a fucking boner. It's like, I understand that like the Aaron Rodgers news is big, but unless Aaron Rodgers is actually being traded at that moment, can we like talk about the guy that's like actually on screen? No wonder his family is pissed off. I just personally,
I second that too.
As a producer, I think that's just like, I just think that's a poor choice. But also, as also having been somebody who's like been in the booth when that sort of thing is going on, it's hard to break away from that and interrupt the conversation and like break it down. But somebody in there should have said, "Hey guys, focus on the young man who just got traded. A producer should have been in the ear of the on-air guys and been like, hey, focus on the kid who got traded. We'll get back to Aaron on the next segment." That simple.
Yeah. So thoughts on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay nonsense?
I personally think that, it's Rodgers basically doing a flex on them. I don't know if he's necessarily going to insist on, leaving the team. Something I read this morning, there was one headline that was out there, and then I read the story, and apparently he just wants there to be some reciprocation where he feels like he's either appreciated or whatever. Maybe it's his ego getting out of control. Maybe he's overly butthurt over the Jordan Love thing.
Poor guy. Oh, yeah. My God.
I know.
My 9-month-old fucking daughter over here, dude. What do you need, fucking attention? You're Aaron Rodgers.
Well, the fact that they went ahead and they traded, the Packers did what the Packers do. They keep a rotating cycle of quarterbacks coming through their system. They did that even when Favre was there. Remember, Favre had like some pretty decent quality backups while he was there. I mean,
remember what's this guy, the Magic Man?
Oh, he took over from Mikowski.
Yeah, exactly, Mikowski.
Yeah. Mikowski was there before him, but the Packers, dating back to Ron Wolf, somebody else brought this up. They've always kept the cupboard stocked with quarterback talent. Whether it worked out or not didn't matter. It's that they always did that.
And even sorry, Sean. Even Aaron Rodgers was part of the cupboard being stocked, right? Because Aaron Rodgers was drafted when Favre was still the man. Continue.
Yeah. So I mean, I think what he's doing here. I'm of the mind that what he's doing here is just to embarrass the Packers because he felt like he got embarrassed last year, where they went ahead and they drafted his heir apparent or whatever, and the way that he found out was like a phone call from a reporter or some shit like that, and he fully expected that they were going to be drafting a receiver or whatnot, and I think he's just doing a public flex on them, and whether you like it or not, he's pulling a move that a Hall of Famer can pull. And I don't know if I agree with it or I don't, but I do know that he's earned the cachet to basically say, you know what, I don't like what you did, fuck you. And that's kind of where,
and that's when I'm going to come in, Sean, and I agree with you, and he's a Hall of Famer, and I'm going to go back to a conversation me and you had a few years ago, how you say watching Aaron Rodgers watching ballet, and I'll give him all that, but I'm going to say it right now, he's acting like a little bitch. And you know why? I'll be very honest. People are afraid to criticize a superstar, but I'm going to come out on a limb here, and I'm going to tell you why. Did Tom Brady acted like a little girl when they drafted Jimmy G? No, he didn't. You just went on the history of the Packers. Here comes Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't talk to his family. This guy has personal issues with his family or whatever. And I don't know. I think his ego has gone to his head. To be honest, the Packers are not losing because of the offense. Jones is a stellar running back. He just got paid. Devontae Adams, a top 3 receiver. They're losing because of their defense. And he's lucky that they're trying to put that defense together. Today they drafted a cornerback. Yesterday they drafted a cornerback in the first round. They're trying to put that together so he could win. They scored points with that offense. I don't know what his issue is. Oh, they drafted a backup quarterback. I'm sorry, dude, but you're looking for attention, and I have a problem with that. I have to call you out. And if people think I have an issue with that because I'm a Hall of Famer, I can't say that, then that's on you. But I think he's acting like a little bitch. That's it.
I think a little context here might help us on this one. So you look at the Packers, and they're this organization that's had, in a row, two generational talents at quarterback. So for 22 years, something like that, they've had Hall of Fame quarterback play, and they only have 2 Super Bowls to show for it. So I think all I got to do is put myself into his shoes for like 5 minutes, and whether his frustration is warranted or not, it's honest and true. Think about where this guy is. They beat the Steelers, years ago, and they've been to the NFC Championship game a few times, and they haven't gotten back to the Super Bowl. And it's got to be frustrating, And is he going to look at himself and blame himself? No, man. He just won the fucking MVP. He's like, I'm not the problem with, this shit here. All you got to do is to think about it for 10 seconds and go, oh, yeah, okay. Put yourself into the shoes of this guy who's like, being hailed as one of the greatest MVPs. He's been carrying this team. There were years where the Packers without him would have been a 3-win team. Remember the season when he broke his clavicle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they lost everything because their roster was dog shit. There were years that Rodgers carried that team. So he's at the back end of his career, right? Maybe he plays another 3, 4, 5 years, good health, etc. But it's got to be frustrating for the guy. And I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not even trying to say that you're wrong in calling him a bitch. It's kind of fucking shitty to be calling your team out when they are trying to build something around you. But I can also understand the man's frustration for having to carry that load for so long.
Hey, listen, I could come across as very abrasive, and I always do. You know what I mean? I'm having a white claw, and I'm enjoying myself. And you always got to look at another side. But to me, I think the Packers are not a terrible team. They're not the Houston Texans bad.
No, they're not anymore.
Has an actual argument. Watson has an argument. There are players out there that have arguments. Rodgers' team, dude, Devontae Adams, and now you could say, hey, he made Devontae Adams a top 3 receiver. I get it. And there's always 2 sides to an argument. But dude, his running back, the running game is really good.
Well, I think something that set him off though. Did you see the Jeopardy episode that he hosted where person in Final Jeopardy asked whose decision it was to kick the field goal at the end of the NFC Championship game? And Rodgers said after that game that part of the reason why he threw incomplete on 3rd down is that he thought that they would be going for it on 4th down. He figured, hey, man, we're in 4-down territory. We've got to tie this fucking game up. Call comes in from the sideline to kick the field goal and put the game into the defense's hands. Yeah. I can understand why he would lose his fucking mind and be on this, public rampage that he's on right now.
We all lost it there.
Yeah.
But the previous play, he could have ran it in for a touchdown, and he decided to throw in the middle of a defender. And I was texting with Dave at that time. I'm like, he had a fucking touchdown with his legs, and he didn't.
I remember that play. I mean, it's going back and forth, but it's okay, that play happened. He fucked up on that. And then on the 3rd down, he throws it incomplete thinking, okay, we're going to go for it on 4th down. The fact that LaFleur did not choose to go for it on 4th down, I was like, what the fuck are you doing, man?
I was like, dude,
you don't have the Steelers defense from 1976. This is, you got to go for it, man. And to allow Brady to give Brady the opportunity to as soon as I saw Rodgers jogging off the field, I was like, this game's done. It's over. They're finished. Because the only way that the Packers D would be able to stop Tampa is if they would be able to get away with pass interference calls. And obviously they didn't.
Now let's play a game here for a second. Let's play a hypothetical. Let's say Brady's playing for the Packers at home in a divisional game, and Aaron Rodgers is playing for Tampa Bay, going to Green Bay. Who comes out as a winner?
Honestly, I don't know, but I would trust Bruce Arians on play calling before I would trust Matt LaFleur. I know that.
I will still take Brady at home. I'd be very honest with you. I'll still take Brady at home.
What are the chances of Rodgers being moved before the beginning of the year?
I don't think Rodgers getting moved. I think at 0. I think Rodgers going to be in a Green Bay Packer uniform. I don't see it. Sean told me Vegas has Denver as a favorite. And I heard that on ESPN today, and they're making sense. That's why Denver started stacking up on the defense in the draft because they want to give him a good defense. and they're probably going to throw the house. I just don't know if I have enough capital. What are they going to send Bridgewater over there? Like they just got Bridgewater. Like I just don't know if I have enough capital. I think the only place that will make sense for me will be the Saints. I said it because you replace Drew Brees, they have the weapons. Or I don't know. Stephen A. Smith said today that he's maybe the Steelers could make a trade, and that would be kind of sexy. But Denver, I don't like it. I think he stays in Green Bay.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that what this is him just flexing and showing the Packers that, hey, you embarrassed me, perceived or not, real or not. He's flexing right now. He's flexing his muscle as a fucking Hall of Famer, as a guy who can get away with it. And he's showing them that, hey, I got some juice too, And I think that's really what it is. I don't think he's going anywhere. Whether he reports or not, that Green Bay is going to bend over backwards for him, because there is no way that Jordan Love can come in and replace him. They will bend over backwards and kiss his ass and do whatever the hell he wants.
Big time.
And I think that that's what he wants, is that he. And I think what it really stems from is that he had to deal with such a shitty organizational level thing with like Mike McCarthy and all that it just left a bad taste in his mouth. And I think he's at that point in his career to where he's like, I should have been to 4 Super Bowls by now, but I haven't. Yeah. And he's not really looking at himself as being the problem. He's seeing. But now the Packers actually have a really good team. Like, they're put together to win right now. So if all you got to do is just placate Aaron Rodgers, get him back in the building, just fucking do it.
I think he might also want to move out west, man. You hear rumors about Jimmy G getting traded. He grew up a Niners fan. He's from Chico, California, up the road from here. I think he wants to live the West Coast lifestyle. That's who he is, and he fits that lifestyle. And I think he's over Green Bay, dude. Yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, I said he's a bit, but I don't blame his ass.
Until he started talking shit about Green Bay fans, I'm just going to think that this is really him just being at odds with the guys in the front office. If he really wants out of Green Bay, all he has to do is say, you know what, Green Bay Packer fans are assholes. Then he's gone. Like, if he really wanted to leave.
All right, you guys. So we've covered a lot of the moves from round 1 of the 2021 draft. And we got round 3 underway at this point. Sean, I got to admit, dude, I feel for you, because I don't know that the Rams have been mentioned once in the last 48 hours. They've traded away all their first round draft picks to the Jaguars, and
don't care
to whoever, to the Rams, to the Raiders or whoever else. Where are the Rams at today, tomorrow? What are the Rams looking at down the line to fill some holes on their squad?
I have high hopes for the Rams, and I'll tell you why. All I got to do is just pull up a couple of things here. What I love about what the Rams have done with the trading away of these draft picks is that they're not doing it for fly-by-night players. They're talking about, like, top-line talent. You go ahead and you get somebody like Matt Stafford. You get Matt Stafford and you put him on a team that actually has an infrastructure and a coaching staff, offensive game plan, and people who are responsible. Like, you're going to get good things out of that guy if you can keep him upright and healthy. So the Rams have had a pretty good history of hitting on guys in the mid-rounds. Whether it's Cooper Kupp, like Kaiser. Yeah. They've had a really good history of being able to plug guys in, coach them up, train them, and develop them, and then they become starters, and then they become big money guys, and then those guys go on out the door, like their 2 safeties just did, John Johnson being one of them. Both of the Rams safeties went for big money contracts to Cleveland, but the Rams are preparing young guys to come up and take their places. So the fact that they've started to establish that sort of pattern, I'm okay with it. If you're going to give up first-round picks, which are, no matter what anyone says, they're a roll of the dice. If you're going to trade your first-round picks and you're going to get Jalen Ramsey, yeah, I say it's worth it. I'd give up 2 first-round picks for a shutdown corner. I mean, Jacksonville is more than happy to turn those picks into, say, Travis Etienne or what have you, whatever it is that they're going to get from that. But the Rams have a developmental model inside, and they've got a way of like doing business that makes sense. They go and they find guys in the draft that fit within what they can work with, and they develop guys over time, and then those guys pay off over the long haul. And then when they get really expensive, and if they're all-timers like Aaron Donald, they'll open up the bank vault for him. They'll open up the vault for Jalen Ramsey. If you're a good player, the Rams will spend. So it's nice to see the management of the Rams be willing to take these sort of risks to try and win now, as opposed to like, oh, well, we're just going to tear down, rebuild, et cetera. They're like, no, we've got talent on that team. And just because you're trading in the first round doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a great place.
Okay.
I'd second that. I mean, I've never been a fan of Les Need. I'd be very honest with you. You've heard me go back and forth with you on text messages. I do like what they have, but I got to give credit to Jeff Fisher because he's an amazing talent evaluator, and he built some of those superstars they have there. So when they hired McVay, they had to come in and win. They had no choice. Jeff Fisher left them loaded. So Les Need comes in and starts paying Taven Austin a heck of money. Where's Taven Austin now? 5'8", 150 pounds soaking wet. Brandon Cooks a heck of money. 5'8", what? And I was questioning what he was doing. When he started going after like maybe a Jalen Ramsey shutdown corner, I'm like, okay, he's coming to his senses. But I've always questioned Les Need, and I've always said it's so difficult to be a GM, to know how to evaluate talent and also how to manage your money. And I think you either have one or the other. And if you have both, you're Jerry West. You know, and very few people are Jerry West or Pat Riley, and you know, on their respectable sports. And that's the same issue I have with Chris Greer and Miami. Miami has all these draft picks. Dude just gave 2 to Philly to draft that guy that he could have drafted at 12. So my point is that, like, okay, you're not evaluating talent very well then. So what's the problem here? You're collecting draft picks. That's why Jimmy Johnson was so good, because he could do both. So are the Rams a contending team? They're fucking loaded. I have the Rams as probably the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, to be honest. Especially with a Matthew Stafford trade, McVay, they're loaded. I've never been a fan of Les Need. I don't hate him because he's willing to pull the trigger to just make the team better. But I do question his talent evaluation when he's paying people. That's what I question when it comes to the Rams. But
okay, so this is kind of what I see with the Rams. You know, the Rams they're trading away first round picks, second round picks, and they're acquiring some pieces that they need to win now. But at the same time, when they're doing that, the pieces that they're acquiring now are top shelf, expensive guys. We got Jalen Ramsey, we got Matt Stafford, and I know Aaron Donald was drafted by the Rams, but there's no room for error and there's no room for depth. So we don't have any middlemen. We don't have any of those guys who are in the $8 to $10 million range. We got guys who are, I know it's not 1.5, but you guys get the point. They're like low range, or they're like, 15 million a year type of shit. So
yeah,
I think you're kind of losing that aspect by trading away your first round picks and signing big dollar players.
Well, I'll put it this way.
And that's been my criticism of Les Need. He's man, you want to get paid, go to the Rams, dude. You remember he paid Gurley like a few years ago. He paid him all-time running back up, and then he cuts it. The next year he released him to Atlanta. So you want to get paid, go to Los Angeles. Les Need has a big wallet. He loves to pay players. And this is what I'm saying. What makes a true GM, you either have to evaluate talent, see what your value is, get players, and also know how to balance your budget. And if you could do that, you're great. And I think, Les Need relies a lot on picking good talent, paying them to win now. And I mean, I don't blame that, but like you're saying, it's top heavy. I don't know how much that's gonna last. Like if the Rams don't start putting players in the draft, then eventually, if they don't go to Super Bowl in the next 2 years, they're gonna be capped out. Players are gonna be traded, and they're gonna be going back to like 500. Now, in defense to Sean says they've been finding value picks in the third round. like Cooper Kupp. That was an amazing pick. They're good at finding these niche picks, like Jimmy Johnson. So if they could do that while they're paying these superstars, they'll get by. But if they fail on those guys, I think eventually if they don't make it to a Super Bowl in the next 2-3 years, I think they'll come crumbling down. It has to, because it's so much money in a salary cap sport that you're just gonna get capped out.
Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I just pulled up the Rams draftees. So in 2017, they got Gerald Everett in the second round. He's gone now.
Oh, he's gone? He's gone? He's gone?
Yeah, Gerald Everett is going to be on the way out. But they got Cooper Kupp in the third round. John Johnson, who just signed as a free agent with Cleveland, they got him in the third round. Josh Reynolds, they got him in the fourth round. Samson Ekubom, who was starting for them for the last couple of years, they got him in the fourth round. All right. So next season, Joe Noteboom, who is still working out his way to try and be a starter on the offensive line. Okay. Brian Allen, he did very well. He's now the starting center for the Kansas City Chiefs. They picked him up in the fourth round. John Franklin Myers, fourth round.
But look what you're saying. Look how many guys this is what I was saying about Les Snead. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he pays and then he lets them go. And I feel like the Dolphins are almost like a carbon copy of the Rams. They're trying to copy the Rams with Chris Greer. He paid Byron Jones of the Cowboys $100 million, the cornerback. Jerry Jones is like, all right, you go. I'm not going to pay $100 million. We pay him $100 million. I know they built that. He's in love with cornerback. Then he gets off all these off-season signings, pays him a lot of money. Van Noy last year from the Patriots, he paid him $43 million, sends him back to New England. He got the offensive lineman of the Redskins last year, pays him $30 million, sends him back to the Redskins. It's almost like these GMs, I question their ability to, I'm saying, balance a budget and, really scout. I just don't know if they have it.
Well, that's the thing. It's like what I'm trying – the Rams are doing a really good job of taking these guys who are undervalued, who have obviously raw skills and talent, and they coach them up. They train them. They turn them into football players. Micah Kaiser, 5th round pick. John Franklin Myers, 4th round pick. John Kelly, 6th round pick.
How about that cornerback that was playing opposite that kid that was – didn't he get traded right now?
Well, I was just going to bring up the defensive tackle, Sebastian Joseph, taken in the 6th round. And these are guys just from 2018. 2019, they get Taylor Rapp in the 2nd round. Darrell Henderson, okay, we'll still see what's going to happen with him. He was a 3rd rounder. David Long at corner. So the rest of their guys from that one.
This corner they just had, did he get traded? He was playing opposite Ramsey. I think he was rocking that 22.
So while you're looking that up, Sean, that's my concern right there. They're drafting some great players, but in a couple of years, these guys are going to want to get paid, right? We got that second contract, which is the moneymaker, I think, for a lot of players. Is there going to be money? They're drafting great players, but is there going to be money there to pay some of these guys to stick around? And that's my concern with trade, because it's like a kind of like a chain effect, right? A chain effect where you trade away your 1st round to get these badass dudes, but they're top heavy as far as salary is concerned, and they're absorbing so much of the salary. I mean, I'm just kind of riffing off the top of my head, but it seems like that's the pattern that I see developing in Los Angeles.
Now, and could Matthew Stafford win a playoff game? He hasn't won a playoff game in his career. I mean,
he also had to deal with guys like Jim Schwartz as being his head coach. It's so funny to me that Detroit team, they had Super Bowl talent on that team. At one point, they had Megatron, they've got Stafford, and they have Sue, and they had talent all across the board, and they couldn't even win. They couldn't even win playoffs.
Darius Slay at cornerback, they were loaded.
They were loaded. Now, is that Matt Stafford's fault, or is that because Jim Schwartz was just a terrible head coach? I mean, he was the sort of guy that made what's his name, He's up in Michigan now.
Jim Harbaugh.
The coach
The
of the Niners
handshake.
back
You're
then.
talking about the handshake.
Yeah. Only Jim Schwartz could make. Harbaugh look like a grown man.